Hi folks, this is Dr. Rob Cywes. I am the carb addiction doc. I am also a bariatric surgeon. And today we're going to talk specifically about weight loss. Weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. You know folks, by the time people come into my office, they are pretty much experts. And I bet you fall into this category. The majority of my patients for the first time when they come in are experts at failing weight loss programs. They've tried everything, every calorie reductive diet. A lot of them have even tried keto diets, and they've tried low carb diets, and they've tried Atkins diets and Weight Watchers, and they've tried everything and they've failed. And some of them have even had surgeries, and even surgery fails 85% of the time. 85% of the time. Oh, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Everybody loses weight. Everybody loses weight, but you regain the weight. So ultimately, weight loss, no matter what the ketogenic space tells you, no matter what anybody tells you, is still about caloric reduction. The difference in the ketogenic space is that not only should we be reducing calories to lose weight, and the benefit of being in ketosis is that saturated fat suppresses appetite, so you don't feel hungry, so you're eating less. But yes, it's still, weight loss is still about caloric reduction. And I don't talk about this often because in our practice, that's kind of blasphemous, because we really focus very heavily on addressing the root cause of why you became fat in the first place, which is carb addiction. That's what we focus on. So if you work on the reasons why you became heavy in the first place, while there's caloric reduction going on, it works very well. And that's an important thing that I'm going to circle back to in a few minutes. But ultimately, weight loss is about appetite suppression, and there's a variety of different diets and medications that do that. But the most effective way to reduce appetite is to play around with the two major signaling systems of satiety in the human body. And this is important, folks, okay? The first satiety signaling system in the human body is a variety of hormones that come from our gut and our fat cells that go back to the brain that say, hey, dude, you've had enough, stop eating. So when you're hungry, there's a certain hormonal system that triggers biology of hunger. I'm not talking about the psychology. That's ghrelin and a few other hormones. And then as you eat, GLP-1, GIP, peptide YY, CCK, and leptin from the fat cells are hormones that over time go back to from the belly and from the fat cells back to the brain that say stop eating. And that is the biology that occurs in the animal world and also in human beings when you don't override it. So that's one form of satiety, and that's why the ketogenic diet works really well, is because saturated fat triggers that hormonal satiety and you feel full. That's also why the GLP-1 agonists, the Ozempics, the Trulicities, those drugs work very, very well. Phentermine works in a very similar way, suppressing appetite in the brain. The other signal of satiety are the nerves. So if you look at the stomach over here, the stomach has nerves coming in and nerves coming in. They actually come down the vagus nerves and innervate the entire stomach. And those nerves in the stomach have stretch receptors, little endpoints. And as you eat, you fill up the stomach gets distended. And as the stomach gets distended, it triggers those nerves and they go back to the brain and say, dude, you've had enough to eat, stop eating. So that fullness is a satiety signal. So we've got a neural pathway, a nerve pathway back to the brain, and we've also got a hormonal pathway back to the brain that says you're full. And then there's a crossover. There's something called Eagle's receptors, EGLES receptors in the stomach that are also a hormonal pathway that are related to stretch. The stomach stretches, it releases these, it activates the Eagle's receptors, and they go back to the brain and say, hey, you've had enough. So the dietary side helps. The ketogenic dietary side, the medications, they all help on the chemical side, on the hormonal side. However, I wear two hats. I wear the ketogenic hat, and then I also wear the bariatric surgery hat. So when we look at the size of the stomach, and we're going to talk about one particular very simple way to trigger the stretch receptors. If we somehow reduce the size of the stomach and allow just a small amount of food, boom, to stretch those receptors and say you're full, not only are you going to eat less, but when the stomach stays full, you're also going to eat less often. And that's the way we leverage weight loss. Now, the key thing is this: you can lose all the weight you want to. If you don't change the behavioral pattern, you're not going to keep the weight off. So we have to utilize the carbohydrate addiction program to use the substance abuse transformation while we're leveraging the hormonal and the nervous system to trigger weight loss. So how do we do that? Well, one of the simplest ways to trigger the hormonal system, to trigger the nervous system, is to reduce the size of the stomach. And one of the ways to do that is to put a balloon inside of the stomach. Now, if you've got the balloon inside of the stomach like this, and it's very simple, it goes down through the mouth, you're briefly asleep, it goes down through the mouth, we put the balloon in the stomach, that balloon does two things. It partially occupies the stomach, so you only have to eat a very small amount of food. Let's say I can eat 10 or 12 chicken wings at any one time. With a balloon in my stomach, I eat 2 or 3, and boom, the pop happens, and it goes back to my brain, and I feel full. Secondly, the balloon partially blocks the outlet of the stomach, so that food stays up in the stomach for a very long time, keeping the stomach stretched, keeping me full. Now, if I eat ice cream and Oreo cookies all day long, or I drink protein shakes, or I drink my calories, it just runs straight through the stomach, and you don't feel that pop. So you've got to eat solid food. And then if you're eating on a ketogenic diet, if you're eating fat, not only are you invoking the stretch receptors, you're also invoking the hormonal system that comes from this part of the gut that goes back to the brain. So it's a double whammy. That's why keto together with this works extremely well. And then the final thing, if we add in a medication that treats insulin resistance, that also acts centrally to activate the GLP-1 hormones that get released in this part. So now you're on a ketogenic diet, you've got the balloon in the stomach, and you've got the GLP-1 agonists, the Ozempic, the Trulicity, the Mounjaro, the Wegovy. Then you've got the hormonal pathway and the neuronal pathway that results in massive weight loss. And the beauty about the balloon system is that you lose the weight and then it comes out. Now, yes, there's a risk of rebound, but the rebound happens anyway with surgery. Whether you've had a band, a bypass, a sleeve, a duodenal switch, late weight gain is normal with those procedures unless you change the behavior. So yes, the commitment has to be to the behavioral part as well. You see how multimodal weight loss is, and also weight loss maintenance. Now, I'm holding up this balloon. This is an old Obalon balloon. And this balloon had a very cool concept. It came in a little capsule, you swallowed it, and it blew up in the stomach. Incredibly powerful, incredibly wonderful ideology, science, engineering. The problem is that the way these were engineered, they were so cumbersome and so difficult to swallow that they didn't work as effectively because of the mechanics, the human mechanics. The science and the engineering, very solid. So these have actually gone from the market. And I'm going to explain to you another reason why these have gone from the market. Then, for a long period of time, we had a balloon, and it's still available. It's called the Obera balloon. And the Obera balloon is a balloon that is silicone, and it goes down, you put it down endoscopically, it sits in the stomach. The Obera balloon actually sits a little bit lower down the stomach, but it is a balloon that can stay in for a very long period of time. I've had them in up to 2 years, but typically, even though the FDA says only 6 months, I'll leave them in for about a year to 18 months. And this balloon plus the other multimodal therapy, a ketogenic diet, a behavioral carb addiction transformation, all of those are very, very good. But the Obera balloon, good technology, but about 25 years old and old technology. And here's where I'm going with this video in primer. I know it took me a long time, like I always do, to get to this point, but here's where I'm going. In the recent past, over the last few years, another company called SPATZ, S-P-T-A-Z, has developed a modification of the Obera balloon. And this modification, I'm having some trouble with my props here, as you can see. The modification of the SPATZ balloon is this. SPATZ balloon, identical to the Obera balloon, silicone-based, placed endoscopically, takes about 5 minutes to place in the stomach. But the cool part is you see this little tag, this little thing on the balloon. That makes this balloon adjustable. And that is where the effectiveness, the super effectiveness of this SPAX-3 balloon comes in. And we're just completing a trial, an FDA trial. It's already FDA approved, but we're completing that trial. And I've got a lot of experience with this balloon, as well as a lot of experience with the Obera balloon. So here's the key thing. When we put this balloon in, okay, we guesstimate a little bit about how much fluid. We've got a lot of experience, but we put a certain amount of fluid in based on your stomach size, based upon your height and your needs to lose weight. And initially, when any balloon goes in, you lose weight. And then things stagnate, you get a little bit more leveled off. And then during the balloon process, I'll keep these balloons in. FDA says 6 months to 8 months. I keep them in for about a year to 18 months. And they're safe. Overseas, that's what's happening. So I'm comfortable saying as an experimental reason, we can go off script if you're comfortable with it. And I know that's blasphemous because the FDA is, but the reality is these balloons overseas, where I've used them as well, are effective over a longer period of time. However, here's the cool part. Here's how we invoke multimodal therapy. Because yes, a balloon by itself is expensive and it's got a certain durability. And the balloon, you lose some weight, you level off, we tweak the balloon again. Another endoscopy, you fill it, or we can remove some fluid and you lose weight again. So it's kind of a multi-step, tier step thing. And that is very, very effective for this balloon for massive weight loss, okay? The best I've had is 80 pounds of weight loss for the duration of the balloon, and that woman has now lost over 200 pounds because she continued the multimodal therapy. So, balloon stair step. During the balloon process, there are multiple things that we can use. The first thing is a ketogenic diet. And we start you on the ketogenic diet prior to the balloon placement and then add the balloon into the equation. Because remember, what we're using with a ketogenic diet is we're using the fat to trigger the GLP-1s, to trigger the satiety hormones that augment the neural distension of the stomach. So when you eat, the balloon stretches up the stomach, makes you feel full, and then also the fat goes through the stomach and triggers those hormones that make you feel full. Now, the next key thing that we use, and this is so cool, okay, we use exogenous ketones, and we've done a lot of experiments. Cheryl, my dietitian, and myself have done a lot of experiments because there's a lot of these on the market, okay? What we've done is we have done the homework for you. We've done the experiments, and this ketone ester we have found is to be the most effective of the ketones out there. This one is called Ketone IQ. It's made by a company called HVMN, US based in San Francisco. And in fact, they've given us a promo code where our patients can get a 20% reduction. If you use the promo code CarbAddictionDoc or Dr. Cywus, you will get a 20% off on this. Now, how do we use these? Okay, these are exogenous ketone esters. And what I said earlier on is that we use a ketogenic diet to trigger GLP-1. We use that fat. But sometimes it's difficult early on to get into ketosis, or you screw up or whatever it may be. This helps you instantly to get back on track. When you drink this ketone ester, it's a small volume. So it's very balloon compatible, and it's compatible with all kinds of bariatric surgery, but we're talking specifically about the SPAX balloon. And as it goes through, the ketones get absorbed. But the cool part about this, some ketones get absorbed very massively and for a short duration. The duration of this ketone ester, it lasts about 4 hours. It comes up and you can measure, and Cheryl has measured the ketones on finger sticks on a Ketomojo, which is also a device that is very, very useful for you to have. We check the Ketomojo ketone levels, and you can see that it goes up. And optimally, we want you in about 0.5 to 2 of ketones. And we can track that for about 4 to 6 hours. But once you're in ketosis, you just don't feel like eating. It suppresses appetite. It helps you to get back on track. So we don't use this all the time. We use these up front to get you into ketosis before and during the early balloon process. And then at any time you have them available, at any time you've hit a speed bump, you screwed up a little bit. And the nature of addiction is we do. And then you use these as a call to action. You can't just promise yourself, oh, I'm going to get back on track, because it doesn't happen. Promises are unfulfilled in addiction. But if you take action and you use your ketone IQ, it gets you back on track. So we use ketone IQ together with our SPATS balloon as a way to get and stay back on track. The other thing that we'll do with the SPATS balloon is, as needed, we will also prescribe the GLP-1 agonists, Trulicity, Ozempic. If we can get hold of it, we use that to augment the weight loss. And it's not cheating. It's not. Multimodal therapy is the most important way to sustain what you're doing. So the balloon is the cornerstone. The ketone esters are important adjuncts. The being on a ketogenic diet, eating a high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet, and then using the GLP-1 agonists, the Ozempics, the Trulicities, are how you maximize weight loss using those two pathways, the neuronal pathway as well as the hormonal pathway. And on top of that, uniquely in our program, with Erin Smith, our psych nurse practitioner, with Cheryl, our dietitian, with myself, the carb addiction doc, we then help you to change the behavior during that weight loss process, so that when we back off from the weight loss, when you've lost your weight, we help you to sustain that weight loss. Because losing weight is what you failed at keeping off in the past. That's why you're listening to this video. That's why you're interested in this. So what we have to help you to do this time is to address the behavior from an addiction perspective. That's what you get with the SPATS balloon. Now, here's the way it's working, folks. The SPATS balloon has just gone through the FDA trial. We're at the end of that trial. We now have these SPATS balloons available in our practice. But what we've learned is that, yes, you can use them alone, but they work so much more effectively with a multimodal therapy. And that's what we've designed as we've learned more about these balloons. So when you come in and you have a SPATS balloon with us, that's one piece. But together with that, we'll get you on the ketone IQ, we'll get you on the GLP-1s, and you will be enrolled in our program. And multimodal therapy has been proven over and over and over again to maximize results. Not just the weight loss, but keeping it off. And if we need to, if your blood sugars are a problem when we do the blood work, we'll even add in a Dexcom G6, a CGM for biofeedback. That's what we do. That's what we do, because we have to maximize the weight loss. And it's not blasphemous. It's not cheating. Clearly, you want to lose the weight and you want to go through the behavioral transformation to get it off. So if you're interested in a SPATS balloon, if you're interested in being in our program, and we don't just slap the balloon in, it's a multimodal stepwise program. We use all of these steps. We use the ketone IQ, we use the GLP-1s, we use the balloons, and as a foundation, we use a carb addiction program. That is the best shot that you have at being successful where you failed before. And if any one of those elements appeals to you, set up a consult, set up a visit, and we'll discuss those elements. Tell us what you're thinking, tell us where you're going. And as I said, we have made the SPATS balloon into an effective device. It already is by itself, but it's so much more effective within our program. And so many people that are antagonistic to bariatric surgery or to bariatric devices like this, either they don't want permanent change like a bypass or a sleeve, which is fine, there's value for that for certain people, or the benefit of the balloon is that it goes in, has the results, and then it comes out. Yes, there's a spend, but think about how much money you are spending on your health right now, accommodating not only to your obesity, but all the metabolic diseases. And that's something that money cannot buy. I don't try to convince people on the monetary side. I'm a physician, I'm a doctor, I'm not into the monetary side. I'm into helping you. And I'm so excited about the successes we've had in this program. So if you want to be part of it, if you are one of those millions of people out there, millions literally, who are experts at failing weight loss programs because they've been singular therapies, come on in and let's do a multimodal approach to help you to lose the weight and keep it off and transform as a human body. If you're interested, WhatsApp us, text us, 561-517-0642. Set up a visit, and we can streamline you into this program. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. Leave comments down below. Ask questions. You want to troll me? Hey, go ahead. But if you're going to troll me by being an idiot, hold up a mirror to yourself, because that reflection is on you. Till next time.